Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Lex and today's video is a doozy. First of all, I would like to apologize because I'm Canadian and that's as common as maple syrup over here. For the lack of videos this last week, it's because it's exam presentation season, it's the end of the term, so I've been on a crunch for time trying to get papers done and study for my exams. The only exams that I have are next week, and they are for my two electives, art history and psychology of creativity. The art history one is on Tuesday, and I have the psychology of creativity exam on Wednesday, so they're back to back. Out of the two electives that I picked for this term, art history was by far my favorite. I already enjoy history, and in my art history program, we looked at art from all over the world and from different time periods. We looked at ancient Egyptian art, we looked at 17th century French art, we looked at Roman sculpture, we looked at African sculpture. It was very interesting. And one time the teacher, my professor, showed an image of Nefertiti's bust, and I was very excited and I eagerly raised my hand and then went on like a 3-minute lesson about the history of the bust and the reign of Akhenaten. It was very funny. Anyway, that was the class that I enjoyed the most going in person for. And then on Halloween, the class went from in-person to asynchronous, and for those who don't know, asynchronous is essentially there is no class. The teacher just uploads a folder for you to review and do the work and the reading for, and that to me is not very fun. I like being in a classroom, I like interacting with the professor and my peers, and to have all that taken away and just be stuck more at the computer is not exactly my ideal learning process. Now on to the main part of the video. It's something that I've wanted to talk about for the last few weeks but wasn't really sure how to go about, and that was Endgame by Omid Scooby, which released not too long ago, and oh boy, I have some things to say. Oh dear. So everything that I've heard and seen coming out from this book and any reading material that has to do with Harry and Meghan is information that contradicts itself many times. So, to my understanding, and please correct me in the comments if I have missed anything, so Harry and Meghan did the Oprah interview where they made some claims about Harry's family that were unable to be proven. Meghan also claimed that she and Harry got married a few days before their actual ceremony, and then one of the archbishops had to come in and say, no, that's not what we do around here. And then, moving along, when Spare came out, Harry says that they never called his family the R word, but then you go back to the Oprah interview and that is not quite matching up. And then in Endgame, the story is coming back, and apparently there's issues with the translators of the Dutch version where names were slipped in, and that might end up in a slander lawsuit for all we know. And oh boy, it's just a very interesting saga of what I've been trying to piece together. A UK lawmaker also wants to introduce a bill that will remove the Duke and Duchess of Sussex royal titles. And my opinion on this is that I think they should be removed. Now, think of this as a job, right? Harry and Meghan left the royal family, and if you've ever seen Princess Anne's schedule, the Queen's schedule, they were somewhere different every single day working for their country. That is what a royal is. You are a diplomat, you represent your country. And then Harry and Meghan decided to leave similar to Wallace and Edward did decades ago. But they decided to keep the titles, yet bash on Harry's family. Now, math was one of my worst subjects in school, but the math is not quite mathing in this case, from what I am able to piece together. If I am wrong, please correct me in the comments. Now, when you leave a job, like say for example, you're a chief financial officer, and then you leave the company that you work for, you don't get to keep the title that you had at that company of chief financial officer. You may keep your experience, but that's not your job title anymore. So since Harry and Meghan have left the family and the firm, if you will, I don't think they should keep their titles if they left what was essentially not just Harry's family, but also their job position. I wasn't really sure how to make a video about Edward and Wallace 2.0 because of how messy it was to find information that made sense, because I like to double check my information before I form an opinion on anything. And with Harry and Meghan, whenever they made a claim, I was able to find an article of somebody else debunking that claim. So that was fun to try and piece together information that I was trying to find out from YouTube videos, from news articles, and so forth. My opinion on this as a whole: take away the title. They left the royal family, they left what was essentially a job, a diplomatic job, and when you leave your job, you don't get to keep the position that you once had. So I say take away the titles. If they decide to go back, and I don't know if they will, then discussion can reopen on if they should be given their titles back. Everything that I have read about this whole Harry and Meghan situation reminds me of what I have read about Edward and Wallace, hence why I called Harry and Meghan Edward and Wallace 2.0. Harry, like Edward, was born into a life of unimaginable prestige, and he put that all away for his wife. In the case of Edward, he sacrificed his throne and his relationship with his family when he decided to abdicate in order to be with Wallace, and then the pair were sent away to different places before eventually settling down in a chateau in France. And Harry did something similar. He gave up his position and his relationship with his family when he and Meghan decided to leave the royal family, and then the shenanigans, for lack of better wording, started. I know that family can be complicated and messy. We've all had fights with the people in our families that we loved, but we've made up, we've made memories, and family is meant to be there for each other. Now, because of the low popularity that Harry and Meghan have in general, if they ever did go back to the UK to join the family again, I do not think there will be fanfare and rose petals thrown at their feet. I think their arrival will be, for lack of better wording, a very chilly one because of the low popularity they hold with the British people and even other parts of the world. For example, the whole Vosac Meghan hashtag that was going around maybe a year ago now. And if Harry and Meghan do decide to return as working royals, it will be up to Harry's family if they decide to welcome back Harry and his wife with open arms. I do not know what will happen, if that will happen, or if Harry and Meghan will live in the US for the rest of their lives. It's just one of those situations where we're gonna have to wait and see what happens. It's also technically a part of history, and much like how there is Wallace and Edward historians, I imagine in 50 years, maybe less than, there will be historians that will be specializing in the event of Harry and Meghan leaving the royal family. And I am curious to see what those papers and biographies will look like when those times come around. Before I let everybody go for the day, I would like to make a quick song recommendation. I've been listening to this song since I found it not too long ago. The link towards it is in the video description down below. It's called Lost in Silence by Skeen, and he has a really pleasant voice. I really like it, and I figured no harm in putting it in the video description if anyone wants to check it out. That is all I have on the agenda for this week, so thank you everyone so much for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful week, and if you enjoy this content and want to see more, please subscribe to Sweet Histortea, a channel full of random facts, lots of sparkles, and tons more rambles to come in the future. Thank you so much again for watching, and until next time, bye-bye!
There's a part of myself I'm missing. Now I got a lot to learn.